Good morning, team. Welcome aboard to the Morning Note. My name is Carlos Garcia, founder and CEO of Gar Capital. It is Wednesday, May 29th, 2024. Glad to be with you this morning and every morning, 9 a.m. Eastern Standard Time here on our YouTube channel. Rock and roll, feels like a Tuesday, but it's really a Wednesday. We know short week. We're seeing some volatility finally. We talked about the VIX over the weekend. We talked about possibility double tops, pulling back, retesting, talked about this stuff yesterday. NASDAQ hit a new all-time high. We were above 17,000 on the composite. S&P was flat. All this action was overnight. So unless you were a futures trader trying to catch a short, really nothing has changed from 4 p.m. to now, meaning anything that you could do personally. But here we are this morning. Let's go over it. Dow futures are down 269 points. NASDAQ is down 0.85%. The S&P is down 0.74% with the Russell at 2045. 10-year Treasury yields are up 4.568. That is going to be concerning, especially if the dollar continues to bounce. It erased the losses yesterday and is still going higher. Volatility index, we talked about that possible compression in the VIX that usually leads to some upside. Now, 14, 16 isn't exactly something where you're too concerned. The idea is when it comes to the VIX, a lot of people say you can't, do technical analysis on the VIX, but you can if you like. Everyone's different. But my number in terms of the VIX, anything below 20 is a good thing, depending on where you're coming from. Obviously, if you're at 9 and you go to 20, that's not a good thing. But long-term speaking, stretch out the time frame in terms of the stock market. Anything below 20 on the VIX is usually a good sign. The problem with where you get more upside is when the VIX is compressed or very, very depressed, meaning very, very low. You're kind of losing the value proposition here. Not too much fear out there, not a lot of fear. We're in a weird mixture at this moment where you have consumers that are pessimistic about inflation, pessimistic about their economy or their personal finance. Fair. We also have the highest demand in terms of air travel in our history of the United States. So people are depressed but still spending, or not confident and still spending, whichever. The point I'm trying to make is that we're not even at that point of pure bliss 2021 meme mania. Sure, you have GME here and there, but you're not seeing that big time greed factor where we had NFTs back then in 2021, cheaper money back then. Remember, interest rates are higher. It's not exactly easy to be a speculator when money is expensive. The point I'm trying to make is that you're nowhere near this euphoria point. My point is that we're actually very early innings in this bull market, and all of this moves that we're getting is very, very, very common throughout bull markets. So yes, pullbacks are definitely expected. Pullbacks should be embraced. I mean, hell, who doesn't want to buy Nvidia, right? But do you want to buy it here at 1135? Maybe wait for a pullback, wait for a discount. You don't have to buy retail every time you want something, or above retail when you want to buy something. Sometimes it is nice just to wait for Black Friday shopping to get that TV. It's just an analogy. But either way, we continue. Let's take a look here. Crude oil is up 0.26% above 80, finally above the 200-day moving average. That is a great sign for my energy positions that I have been holding and being patient. So let's take a look at the daily. Like we said, above the 200-day, waiting for 81.70. That is our 50-day. We are holding on to that trend line rather well. We have OPEC plus meetings on Friday. We are seeing some M&A out there. The Hess and Chevron deal looks like it's going to close. There's also some work with ExxonMobil and Shell. I'd be very interested to see the open interest and the interest in volume with these energy names. If crude oil can get above that 50-day, we are still in a golden cross since April. I still think Energy, XLE, all these names are going to move higher and be beneficiaries. The best part is that it's nowhere as overbought as tech. Everyone is crowded into tech and semiconductors. Can crude oil and energy get a little love? Please, that would be very nice. Gasoline futures are down 0.40%. Gold is down this morning on a rising dollar. Let's go ahead and chart that. First, let's do the dollar. We'll go to the macro here. And again, still the same wedge formation that I've been kind of banking on. But the 20-day is below the 50-day for the first time. And that hasn't happened since, let's see, below the 50-day. That hasn't happened since March. The scary part is that that's when we soared. But either way, We're still below both. We need to get below 104.38, but make sure we stay below 105. That's kind of that level in the sand that if we break above that, volatility is going to go higher. Speaking of VIX, again, above 1543, that's where you start seeing a little bit of fear out there. Maybe you'll get a spike to around 18 to 20. That'd probably be a good, interesting place to start taking a look at shorts and shorting in the futures market, possibly. For quick turnaround, SPY and Qs are going to be tough, especially in a very range-bound, choppy market where your premiums just continue to die slowly. That happens, obviously. But if in futures, you don't have to worry about that. You don't have to worry about expiries. 1543 is my alert for VIX. If we break above that, got to put your bear hats on for at least a day or two, just for the fact that maybe we can catch a quick blip of a 1 or 2% type week to the downside. Is that possible? Absolutely. But again, we have to wait and see. Let's get to the 10-year Treasury yields. I know it's a lot of stuff. I know you guys have questions. But again, let's just go over the important stuff first and get you prepared. Not ideal in terms of the yields. I mean, we could be talking about 4.8 in the summer if this sets up. I had a breakdown here, and we did break. But like crude oil, it held on to that trend line. So we had 2 bond auctions yesterday, came in a little lighter than expected in terms of the expectation of the rate. It was a little higher than expected, excuse me. We have core PCE on Friday. That's the Fed's preferred inflation measure. That includes rents, that includes car sales, used car prices or car prices. So it's a little more of a broad mixture in terms of the PCE versus the CPI. I know a lot of acronyms, but PCE is personal consumption expenditures. CPI is consumer price index. We get that every month. You're going to hear me talk about it pretty much every month. As long as inflation is on everyone's minds, it's going to be important. Silver is down 0.12%. That's been holding up well. Copper, FCX, I know. That's down this morning. Dr. Copper pulling back, especially with the dollar being higher. And we're right at the 20. We've been consolidating there and just holding there. And hoping that we get to 5 rather quickly, but that starts with the dollar coming down. Again, that's affecting the Forex market. Euro dollar down 16 pips. Dollar yen hit its worst point pretty much in decades. Aussie dollar 66.27. We tried to go long Aussie dollar, but the dollar, American dollar pulled higher. Bitcoin being affected, but not too much. 67,980. We were at 70,000 just this weekend. We'll see if we recapture that with the lower dollar. 38.25 on Ethereum. That's down 0.42 on the future side. So let's take a look at the S&P, and then we'll go ahead and just get to the questions. Possible double top. Yes, that needs to be said. Look at the daily. 52.59. Now, that is a possible target for any kind of put. So we need to see if the dollar goes higher and the VIX goes higher. Now, again, all of this could be bought up right at 9:30 this morning. This is just what happens. Shorts cover their positions, and then you get this certain reversal, whether you start green pre-market or red pre-market. We usually get those kind of flip-flops first thing in the morning as liquidity rushes into the market at the New York Open. So we'll kind of use 52.57 as our kind of short-term support. Hey, if we get there and we hold that, now we're looking at a possible inverse head and shoulders. Yeah, you can see here, left shoulder, your head, and your right shoulder. And again, that's a bullish setup. If you hold 52.55, let's say. Is that absolutely possible? Yeah, sure. We just have to see if we tag it. Do we tag it is not even a guarantee either. Guys, we've been in a chop zone for the past 15 days on S&P. Not exactly building a lot of confidence to trade this. The only thing really pulling the system in the sense is the NASDAQ. And even that's been choppy since the 15th. And it's really, the NASDAQ should be called the NVIDIA Composite Index because that's pretty much the only thing that matters now. And as higher as it goes, the more concentration into one name, this is nothing new. We've seen it. What happens? Pulls back a little bit. So be patient on NVIDIA. I would not buy NVIDIA here. Absolutely not. And again, I'm a huge NVIDIA fan. You're pretty much buying at retail and you don't need to. You can wait below 1,000. Guys, you can get that. No problem. NVIDIA is great. Don't get me wrong. They make a lot of money, but at some point, people are going to take profit, and that should be your opportunity if you wanted to own more. Now let's get to the Q&A side. Good morning, Capital. You think AMD is a play? Is still good about the 180 call yesterday, and you have until June 21? Yeah, you're good. Yeah, semiconductors outperformed yesterday. Yeah, I do have AMD calls as well. We held the 100-day moving average with a really bullish candle. All we're getting back is a pullback on the NASDAQ. And again, just some consolidation here. Really just stay above 165 at this point. If you guys remember, 165 was the previous all-time high. If we go ahead and go back to the daily, I think that was right around the beginning of the year. And then we broke above it. So I still think AMD is the catch-up trade for the semiconductor investor or trader, as Micron, Qualcomm, Nvidia have all hit all-time highs. AMD is at a discount below the all-time highs. So I wrote that on the note this week. I still think AMD has more room to run. 185 would be my, let's call it 60-day target, 35-day target, whichever you prefer. Let's see. Good morning, C and Intel. Yep, do have those. The financials pulled back yesterday. Not much you could do there, as the whole sector did. Still holding that trend line. Nothing has really changed other than we're just getting some chop. And we'll see if we hold 61. Wasn't the best yesterday. But again, there's still an uptrend. The only thing I fear is that this is going to turn into another Bank of America where it's just chop. And, again, the uptrend is there, but we're just going to run out of time. I hope not. So again, we do have a catalyst on Friday, which is the PCE number with the Fed, the Fed's preferred inflation gauge. I need to see that. If we can get some kind of positive movement on that, maybe inflation is taking a step back, we're going to break 65 with a week left. I can live with that, and that would be in the money. So at least we have something to look forward to. Give me till Friday there. Intel is still holding that support, but pulled back this morning with the NASDAQ. Obviously, I need to get above 3166. It closed above the 20-day moving average, guys. 20-day moving average is our momentum indicator when it comes to stocks, for me at least anyways. We do have a gap to fill here at 34.44. It's pretty much the same setup that we had when we traded Starbucks, if you guys remember, and we got as high as 81.04. I put an alert there, so if we break above it, but again, it is the exact same setup with earnings pullback or a catalyst pullback, a gap to fill to the upside. You didn't even fill the gap yet, but you can trade to fill the gap, and we got it on Starbucks. So Intel, Starbucks, very similar. If you caught Starbucks, that was a little faster, obviously. Give it some time. These setups are fine. Actually, those Intel calls have a lot of OI. I put that on the note yesterday after the market bell. So you guys are always set with all the news. Let's see. BABA, buy the stock here. Depends on your perspective. Here's what I mean perspective. What's your time frame? What's your risk tolerance? You're still above the 200-day. If you get to 78.28, you're putting a lot of faith that is going to hold in terms of support. Fair enough. And if it doesn't, you're going to be range bound all the way down to 70. So if you were to buy, I would wait right around 78 to 79. Again, that's not exactly far from where we are today. We're at 78, 74. So let's say you bought today. You need to keep a stop loss right around 76, about a $4 stop if you're swinging the stock. I think that's just a waste of time, in my opinion. There's so much other value out there in names that, that are regulated in America. Again, this is a Chinese company. We don't know what's going to happen over there. Their system of economics is completely different than what we're used to. So tread carefully when it comes to BABA. Again, speculative always. We know make a lot of money. Sure, they do. But there's a lot of unknown, not a lot of edge is my point. So I would actually skip this for now and let it play out. If we get above 90, then it starts getting compelling. I'd rather confirm the trend of anything. CELH. This is Celsius. Possible double top. That's the thing that's concerning. If you get to 70, that could be a very nice buy there. This is what the energy drink. Okay, so I guess like a Red Bull or something or Monster. 70 would be the target if you're looking to buy. The good news is that you're at least above the 50-day. This is not the best looking candle, to be quite honest. So maybe 70 comes. We'll see. Would you prefer to buy a large SPY VOO amount than DCA or just straight DCA from here? I have a good amount of capital. I'm looking to put it in. I would just do DCA from here. Just do DCA. You don't have to put a big chunk in. Spread it out a little bit. So you can at least average the best price. That's kind of the deal. So thoughts on Wolf and HPQ? Wolf, I want to say, what is that? I don't even know what this is. It's a penny stock. So be very careful with these. I don't think there's anything that looks good on this chart other than the fact that you're above the 20 weekly. Let's see. HPQ. This is Hewlett Packard. Hewlett Packard needs to be blamed for putting that blue logo and that blue uniform on the Ferrari F1 team. So above 33.99, obviously they have a marketing budget. 33.99 would be the break on the weekly. That's probably where you're looking to go long to get to 40, 41. Let's see yeah, right above that level, 34. That should get you to 30 to 40 or 41. Um, that's actually not a bad setup, to be quite honest. I don't think they have tons of options volume, but looks like HP is looking to break out. I wonder if they're doing any AI. Plays on love. There was some commentary. American Airlines, their COO resigned, I believe, or is leaving the company. That pulled back the airlines. Imagine me saying, yeah, great airlines, traffic. Take a look at DAL, and DAL falls yesterday. We didn't get into anything with DAL, but that's unfortunate. LUV, which is Southwest, is continuing to pull back. There is a gap to fill at 33.52. Not the best setup here. You're starting to get to some key levels of support. If anything, probably breaking it, 25.33. So looking like 24.86 is another gap. Could be 22. I would skip this one. I think DAL is a better play here. Again, we're at 48.74, but again, a better chart at least than Southwest. So I'd skip Southwest and I would take a look at something like a DAL, Delta Airlines, for a better setup for more upside, in my opinion. Thoughts on Apple giving up the $4 gap now in the opening week? Let's take a look at Apple. And kind of the same thing, up, down, up, down. We're still looking for 200 and then probably sell it there, short there, if we get there. Consolidation phase, nothing special. Stay above 187. That'll be your support. I had someone ask me yesterday to look at the 200s. I think the 200s, those are the shareholders that are trying to sell options there. They're just trying to get rid of it. They know they're going to make some premium there. This is not a big mover. We know we had some big moves. Yes. Obviously, we had some headlines and we had earnings where they beat expectations. We traded that, yada, yada. But 187 is going to be your support. If you break above 195, fair enough, we could target 200. I'd rather not trade this here unless we're talking about doing a dip buy at 187. But until then, I think the risk reward here is not there yet. You're still in between that 192 break and 187. You're right smack in the middle. Nothing to do here. And even the stock is flat, even when the futures are down. I believe B of A made Apple their top pick in terms of tech, playing up the AI into smartphones. We had the headlines that Apple had increased year over year smartphone sales in China. I think it was up 51%. So the competition with Huawei is heating up over there. We got to see those margins on Apple the next quarter. Is this competition in China hurting Apple's margins? That's one of the best things about Apple is that they have pricing power. NVIDIA is going through this right now. NVIDIA is so strong because they have such a backlog and demand and they have pricing power. Understand that, guys. That does not last forever. Let me make that clear. That pricing power, one way or another, discounts will be made. Technology can be replicated. NVIDIA did not, invent semiconductors, nor did Tesla create EVs. There's competition. It happens. That's going to affect the stock. NVIDIA is a great company. Again, I'm not trying to badmouth NVIDIA. I'm just trying to prep the viewers here that, just be careful with euphoria. It just doesn't last forever. A lot of people get hurt. So I'm not saying to sell anything. Just be on the lookout for opportunity is all. Just be smart looking forward. Thoughts on NVIDIA there? Good question. Thoughts on NVIDIA overtaking Apple soon? What happens to the market then? You have one way or two ways of seeing it. One way would be it's very similar to Cisco back in the 90s where you had that spike and it pulled back. NVIDIA, Cisco wishes that it was as ever profitable as NVIDIA. NVIDIA is on a different level of growth and a different level of profitability because of their high demand, their backlog, and their pricing power. They can literally charge whatever they want. So, even Apple has the same thing. Apple makes crazy profits. In terms of market cap, these names flip-flop all the time. The fact that NVIDIA has had that meteoric rise. Hey, remember a time where Tesla was worth more than ExxonMobil? And then everyone was like, ooh, what happened? And Tesla's continued to win higher. And it pulled back. These things happen. Will NVIDIA be around to stay? Absolutely. NVIDIA is not going to go anywhere from the top 10 anytime soon. Whatever be the number one company on earth in terms of market cap, I think Microsoft is the one that's going to hold that down. that ChatGPT is a big deal in my opinion. Obviously, Microsoft needs NVIDIA chips, so it's a nice little circle of AI. And thoughts on PTGX? Never heard of this name. Protagonist therapy. Terms of resistance on the daily, yeah, 32. I don't know what we're trying to do here. I guess we're looking for a breakout to play. What, 32? Sounds about right. Yeah, yeah, break 32, sure. At least it's on the uptick. You have a golden cross on the weekly, and that's a really great sign. So, yeah, I would say bullish to the upside, not knowing anything else about them, just playing the charts. So there we are. Great questions, guys. I appreciate your time as always. Thanks for joining me this morning on the morning note. Scrolling on the bottom is our live market blog. If you're interested in joining our Discord server, please do. All the information is scrolling below. We will see you there. Have a great rest of your morning. Cheers, all.